Hello, everyone. Welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. To get us started today, I just need to give you some updates. First of all, just so you know, there's a difficulty right now with my podcasts going to YouTube. What's supposed to happen is that when I upload something to Spotify, it automatically bounces over to YouTube. But for whatever reason, that isn't currently happening. So I'm having to bounce my podcasts to YouTube manually. It's not really a big problem, but it does mean that if you use YouTube to listen to my usual podcasts, you may find there's a little problem, at least until I can get this fixed. No problem though, they will all be there eventually, and you can still hear them on Spotify, and you can also hear them via the italki website if you prefer. And if you're listening to this on another platform, then there shouldn't be any difficulties. Right, so to get us started today, I'd like to just remind you about the weekly lesson, which is all about the television license. Now, the television license, the license fee, which we must pay, is currently around £170 per year. Cheaper if you have a black and white TV, and I think it's free in some parts of the country for those who are over 75. The TV license has been in operation since 1923, which makes it one of the oldest license fees in the country. We used to have a license fee to pay if you owned a radio as well. That was finally abolished in 1971. The television license remains very controversial. Some people like it, and some people really don't. We have no choice if you own a TV, or even if you have the BBC iPlayer app, then you need to have a TV license. There's no way out of it, there's no way to avoid it. Even hospitals, pubs, nursing homes, places owned by the government, if you have a TV, you need to have a license. And whenever you try to buy a TV, you should be prepared to hand your personal details over to the person who have to make a report to the TV license enforcement people. Now, it seems really strange because in a country with so many social problems, and also at a time where they're letting criminals out of prison, they're also hunting people down who haven't bought a TV license in order for them to be fined, that's applying a penalty, or indeed to put them in prison, which is where you ultimately end up if you keep refusing to buy a TV license. Now, back in the 1970s and 80s, to avoid paying for a TV license, it was a little bit like a national sport. It was a very interesting thing. I can remember my parents doing this. The enforcers would come to the door. You would try to argue with them that you didn't have a TV. And if they forced their way into your home, which they could do, and saw your TV, then you would simply tell them, oh, yes, but I'm keeping that for a neighbour. Because in the old days, of course, as you know, not everyone had TVs and families were closer together. Anyway, those days have gone, and most of us are fairly honest, and we just buy the license. You can buy them at the post office or you can buy them online. And the TV license enforcement people, they really mean business. It's their thing to try to get the money from you. Why do we need a TV license? Well, we have a lot of commercial television here in the UK, but the truth of the matter is that the TV license completely and solely funds the BBC. That's right. You would think it's just paid for by our taxes, being state-owned, but actually it's not. We have a separate fee that we have to pay, and that's called the TV license. It funds the BBC. Even if you can prove to the people that you've amended your TV set so that it can't receive the BBC, then it still would need a license. Owning a TV needs a TV license. Now, let me just clarify what I said there. I said that the license fee solely pays for the BBC. That's not strictly true. I think they probably have other income. They probably get money from the government as well. I made a podcast about the TV license last year, and I had a flurry of comments telling me that I should get my facts right, that the TV license is due to be abolished. Well, that's certainly true. The last government made plans to get rid of it, but that government's gone now, and everything is under review. And as far as I'm aware, there's no current plans to get rid of the TV license. But then more and more of us, well, we just kind of choose to not watch much TV. I'm not sure about you, but I don't know the last time I watched live TV. I much prefer Netflix, Prime. So is there not a way I can opt out and tell the government that I don't have or want the BBC? And the answer to that is no, because TVs are all designed to give you all of the channels. If there is a way to opt out of it, it certainly is very complex. Sometimes court cases, there are legal battles which take place where someone has tried to argue that they don't watch the BBC, and a few of them have been quite successful on a case-by-case basis. My story about the TV license is really just telling you that it is a very, very serious issue. And, you know, British people, we love black and white laws, and we don't love people who break those laws, which are enshrined into our culture. So it's really important that you get one. It is one of those things that you can't run away from. It's like buying a train ticket, maybe for an older person when you're only 23 because it's cheaper, and then you try to use it and you get caught. They will punish you, and oh yes, they will catch you. And if you think you can just run away and say, oh, nobody cares, yeah, they will really hammer you if they catch you. Or as we say in England, they will throw the book at you. It means they will charge you under the law in every possible way. So when the TV license officers come, if you don't have a license, they will say one of a number of things. They will say, okay, fine, pay us, and you need to pay them. Or they will say, okay, you have 7 days to get a license, we'll come back and check. Or they will say, okay, buy it now while we're here. And they can force you to do it. And if you don't cooperate, then, of course, you're going to be in big trouble. There's no point in trying to abuse the officers with words. I mean, that would just be a death wish. You can actually go to prison for this. So you need to have a TV license. Usually what they do, though, in fairness, is if you play dumb, I mean, if you act stupid, they will say, okay, well, actually, if you buy one now or within 7 days, we will overlook the fact that you've lived here since, I don't know, 2020 or whatever, and you've not been using one. You've not had one, I should say, not had a license. It's very strange because even during COVID, the TV license enforcement people were still allowed out to come and enforce people who didn't have a license. The whole thing is really bizarre. They put a lot of money into this. And a lot of money into enforcing as well. It's not the government who does the enforcing themselves. They contract a company called Capita, and Capita are responsible for finding you and forcing you to pay, in the same way as you have to pay for a bad debt. Right, well, that's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm going now to try to upload this podcast. I wish you all a lovely day. Take care. Bye.